I wanted to ask you a few questions. Maybe we will have some good answers on that. First thing is that you are in bonsai for how many years
Oh,
now?
I forgot. It must be
Like,
like 43 or 44 years.
okay. So, in your long bonsai career, what are things you wish you knew sooner?
Well, there's a lot of things that I should have known sooner, and unfortunately didn't. A lot more about horticulture, because I had to find out the hard way, and killed a lot of trees on their sides and ruined many. And about the artistic side, uh, and it was a long way for me to come to where I am now. Now I know what I'm doing, I think, and I was just struggling for a long while. Well, all the time I was thinking that I knew what I was doing, but with hindsight, no, I did not. Okay, so now I know what I'm doing. Come on, I want to live another 10 to 20 years to then stop and look back and say, well, in 2026, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. Okay, so that means that I'm still on the learning curve, and I learned a lot about bonsai, about the art, about trees, and about people. I had a life working with some elite sort of IT business. I was manager, and there was a certain circle, and I was one of the managers, and I had an exposure to only a small spectrum of the population and thought that's it. And with bonsai, the whole world opened. I've seen the world on somebody else's budget, and I've met thousands and thousands of people everywhere of all with all sorts of background, every age, every job, from poverty up to billionaire, and it was a rich life, and I'm very happy about this part. And the other thing is that after a successful part of my life as a manager, I had this now life as a bonsai person, whatever you want to call it, as a bonsai master or legend or whatever they call it. And I think it was a very good result. I'm very happy about it. I'm happy about myself. I'm at peace with myself, and I can look back at my life and say, yes, it was a good life, a very good life. It was much richer than most people's, and I grew old being a happy man, and I have so many friends around the world. And that wouldn't have happened without bonsai.
What are the things you would do differently in case you would start today and knowing what you know now?
I would
So, for example, I'm the beginner and you want to tell me do this, do this, do this, do these five things, and maybe you will reach the good results sooner.
Okay. Find out about your personality. And if you're a person like I am, be careful. I am a person who wants to find out himself, who wants nobody to tell him what to do and what to believe. That sounds great. It's not so great because you very often lose energy by finding out something out yourself which somebody could have told you, right? So with hindsight, I would much rather listen to some people who have something to say and tell me. For a long time, I was very proud to be self-taught. Okay, the truth is, I have never in my whole life attended a bonsai course, not a single lesson. I've never in my whole life set a foot on Japanese soil. Okay, I know a lot of Japanese. Okay, so but with hindsight, I say, wait, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have listened. Maybe I should have gone to Japan. Maybe I should have tried to find a teacher. I was kind of proud to never having a teacher. That sounds great. Maybe it's not great. At least you can judge from the result. The result is here, but it could have been much easier.
Much faster, yeah? You would
Much
achieve
faster,
much faster.
much faster. But maybe it couldn't be the quality that it is now, because with my stubbornness of always questioning the system, boom. Okay, this is not the invasion. No. Anyway, with my stubbornness of questioning the system, I found out a lot of things which I otherwise wouldn't have found.
Okay. So, for example, what are the species you wouldn't recommend the beginners to start with or to work at all? You have in your bonsai life, you have experience that some species are not really good, not suitable, react really badly to applying bonsai techniques. What do you wouldn't suggest?
Well, that's first of all depends on where you live and what's your environment. If you have to take trees which like your garden, period. Do not try to play around with trees which you can hardly overwinter, which don't like your summer, etc. It's a total waste of time. Look what's growing out in your garden, and this is what you use for bonsai. Okay, and it's not necessary to have tried every species, every tropical species or whatever. If you're in the tropics, you don't grow apple trees. If you're here, you shouldn't play too much around with tropical trees. That's one of the advice. Then you have to avoid species which hate you. And you find out very soon because some species simply don't do well in your hands. That may be your fault, or it may be your garden, or it may be just the species. Okay, some species simply don't want to be bonsai. Okay, so let's name a few. A birch. A birch is a bitch. Just everyone, almost 99.9% of people who ever had a birch have killed it. Okay, so I have some reasons for that, and there's 2 or 3 people who do well with birches, but in general, forget them. Okay, trees, shrubs that never grow in trees, to trees in nature, difficult for bonsai, because they forever are shrubs and not trees. Okay, meaning they are basal dominant, whereas a tree is apical dominant, and they will always lose the top at one point, or some branches. And some trees have this habit of dropping whatever gets weak very quickly and starting anew. The birch is a good example. And these trees are not at all good for bonsai because you create over a long period of time a good looking tree, and then it just drops a branch without warning. What are these species? Well, unfortunately, very nice species like most flowering, fruiting trees. The prunus and malus and pear, pyrus, meaning all these trees with fruiting and flowering, they tend to be weak trees which drop branches without warning. So try, if you ever try them, make them very, very informal, because if you make them formal, if one branch is dead, the tree is ruined. Okay, some other species, for whatever reason, don't like it in your garden, avoid them. For a strange reason, which I'm not totally aware of why exactly, junipers don't do well in my hands. So I have only one single juniper. Hey, bonsai master, in America, everybody has more than 50% junipers, and I have only one. How about that? Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. One more question. If you are going into your garden now, and you are probably having just a few tools in your pockets to work with your trees, what are like 3-4 basic tools you have always with you, and what do you suggest beginner to buy initially, not to spend too much money from his budget on the tools?
Okay. What you need is, I start with the most interesting, a gin plier. I cannot work without gin plier. And the long gin plier with a long handles, okay? A long gin plier, boom, here. The next thing is a middle-sized concave cutter. It can be the cheap one that's getting rusty, but that does the job. And then I want these small sharp scissors, where you can cut very tiny little things. I also have in addition the large concave cutter to cut big branches, and then I have this hedge pruning shear which is about that long, and where you can with one cut can cut like 5 to 10 branches all at once. And I even do very single. So since this is where I go into big trees and do a very single cut with this huge long shear like that, a very tiny, and if you know how to handle this, you can do wonders with it, and that's about it. Okay, so if you have nothing more, you can do world-class bonsai.
Maybe from your personal story, is there some really big masterpiece you killed due to some kind of bad applied technique or something, and you really regret it? Do you remember such tree which was lost and you really remember it?
Yeah, that's the saddest part of doing bonsai for a long time. Most people would not admit it, but they have killed trees. They have killed very good trees. I've killed. Now, first of all, I've styled probably the first Rocky Mountain juniper that was ever styled to very well, to look like a very good bonsai, and that was imported into Europe, which was really a task. It would be totally illegal now, but at that time it was sort of legal, and I've created that, and it won many awards. It won the Crespi Cup, and this tree I had prepared for I had the invitation to show that in a big convention in France, and in order to make a very good impression. Shortly before that convention, I repotted it and cut off some roots in order to put it into the pot in the right position, and it died.
Is this the one which was on a bag of Akadama?
Yes, it is the first and the Rocky Mountain juniper. All the others, there are hundreds now. Came after that. Okay, and this exactly I killed because I was impatient. Okay, don't do that. Don't repot a tree for a show.
Okay. And do you remember the situation that you, for example, you would like to apologize to your very early tree because you did something really stupid, because you didn't know how to care for a tree? So is there some tree which really suffered for your mistake?
Yes, my very first maple, little Japanese maple, which I bought in 1981 or so, and I did care a lot about it, and I bought a book, a small book, which is still available today, which a German wrote to really learn about how to handle this tree. And now listen, I'm not joking. This book said the following: these little bonsai trees are so small because they're exposed to ultraviolet light very strongly. So you place them into bright sunshine so that the ultraviolet light can keep them small and keep the foliage smaller. Also, by almost not watering them, the foliage gets smaller and the tree stays small, because the biggest problem with bonsai is that they outgrow. Okay, so you have to keep them small, and the rain will do the job. Okay, that was what the book says. So I put this tree on a stump and went on vacation with my wife for 2 weeks because the weather forecast said it would rain eventually. Okay, I came back and the tree, of course, was dead. And I apologized to the tree for being so stupid to believe in a book.
Thank you very much, Walter. Thank you for your time.
Was that it? I have endless more. Okay, thank you.